So I remember reading one study where they said that if your sexual life is good, it contributes to about 15 to 20% of marital happiness. But if the sexual life is bad, it can contribute to up 70 to 80% of the unhappiness. It can impact self-esteem, it can impact the way couples feel about each other, it can impact their other interactions and communications. And definitely it could be one of the reasons why a relationship can break down as well. So when it comes to understanding problems in sexuality, we look at what's happening from beginning to end of the sexual act. Okay, so the first step is desire. So the first question which we would ask is, do you feel desire for your partner? And the first question you could ask yourself is, do you feel desire for your partner? Because if you don't feel that desire, then the rest of the questions become a bit moot. And it is possible to have a hypoactive libido or a hypoactive desire, which then needs to be understood and addressed at that level. The next thing that we look at is arousal. So I feel desire for my partner, I like my partner, I think that they are attractive, but physiologically I don't really feel aroused. And these could be for different reasons, psychological as well as physiological for men or women. Then you look at performance, which typically, is, are you able to achieve and maintain a suitable erection for a suitable period of time? And then finally you look at satisfaction or orgasm. Okay, so in understanding what our sexual issue is, it becomes useful to sort of ask yourself, is this a question of desire? Is it a question of arousal, performance, or satisfaction? And that can help you sort of figure out where you need to intervene or what you need to do. Now, this is one area where various psychiatric problems can interfere with satisfaction as well as functioning. Okay, I'll just highlight a few of them. Anxiety, of course, is the top one. The sexual area is one where we tend to experience a fair amount of anxiety. It's supposed to be something natural, it's supposed to be something everyone knows, but that doesn't necessarily mean we actually do. I also think that the ease with which one can access pornography and the very unrealistic portrayal of sex that you typically see in pornography definitely increases anxiety, because nobody is as sexy and well performing as they are on the screen. When you start to feel anxiety either about your own performance or about your partner's reaction to you, is he really enjoying it? Does she like it? That can sort of take over as the script. And so am I pleasing my partner and is my partner being pleased becomes really more important than am I enjoying this? And when that happens, that tends to kill. Even if you start with desire and you get a little bit of arousal, that tends to kill that and it goes down. Obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD, as a specific form of anxiety where you're concerned about hygiene, where you're concerned about bodily fluids, where it makes a lot of what is sexual feel a little icky. And that also can come in the way of you really being able to relax and enjoy yourself. Depression, of course, where one of the features of depression is that you lose, your libido goes down, and you lose interest in most things. You don't even feel like talking to people. So where is the interest in sex going to come in that situation? especially in a marriage where one person is depressed and less interested in sex, for the partner it can feel like, okay, you no longer are interested in me. They feel rejected, they may get a little colder and more distant, and that whole thing can sort of cycle together and become a big problem. Addictions are also a fairly big problem. By definition, again, an addiction means that you prefer the high that you get from the addiction to any other high you can get, including the sexual high, right? So you prefer to be consuming alcohol, or you prefer to be gaming, or you prefer to be playing on your iPad to really engaging with sex. So these are some of the ways in which psychiatric problems can interfere or interact with your sexual life, and in situations like this it makes sense to sort of try and address the psychiatric problem first and then move on to looking at other stuff. So if there is a sexual problem, what can happen? Sometimes couples seek therapy, figure it out, or talk to each other, consult experts, books, resources, and they sort it out themselves. Sometimes it can lead to the breakdown of the relationship on the whole. Previously, we may not have seen couples coming in saying that otherwise things are good, but sexually it's not good, and so we are not happy with the relationship. But that is also something which I see more often now. And finally, there are, I would say, a fair number of couples who just decide to sort of put this part of their life aside and say everything else is going fine and we like each other and let's just continue with that. So, I mean, I do know of one couple who chose to have an artificial insemination process and said that, yes, we can still get pregnant, we can still have the baby, everything is good, and they're happy as of now, as far as I know. So, what can you do to give yourself the best chance here? Most importantly here, it is to be willing to talk about it, to be willing to acknowledge it. It's a sensitive area, so many times we're not really willing to talk about it or acknowledge it. The second thing is to inform yourself. You know, most of us feel like, yeah, we're all urban educated adults and we know whatever there is to know about it, but many times you may not have facts. I think that there are excellent resources and books available now. There are doctors as well who you can talk to, so find a trusted source and get your questions answered. To aid with that, I'll just sort of tell you a few of the questions which couples typically ask and maybe brief answers for that. Everyone wants to know what is normal. So, what's the normal number of times we should be having sex? What is the normal duration of sex? What is the normal size for a penis? And so while there are answers to these questions, like studies suggest that while this overall sexual act can last as long as you're interested in, intercourse itself tends to be like 5 to 10 minutes. An average size is like 4 to 6 inches. What is more important really than trying to say what is normal is to understand what works. To understand that what pleases my partner, what pleases me. And if it works for two people, then that's what you're looking for really. So, you know, while people are usually asking me questions about what's normal, I wish instead they would ask me questions like, you know, how do I please my partner? Which I think would be much more useful.